Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the third episode of Inside First, a Trojanator podcast. I'm Thomas.
I'm Luke.
And we have a new guest today.
Hi, I'm Matt.
Matt is replacing Nick Crum, who unfortunately cannot make it today. So Matt's in for this special episode. Today we'll be talking about chairman's prompts that got released recently, outreach ideas for teams interested in going for the award, and the big news, some big news. The changes in 2020.
Hugest news.
No bag day.
Incredibly large.
Hugest news.
It's crazy. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. So I think we should dive into it. But first, make sure you follow the Twitter, get involved in the Discord. All that good stuff will be in the description below. And so yeah, chairman's prompts. Luke,
Hey.
you want to talk about them? The changes first is made.
I think you've got this one, honestly.
All right, I didn't know if you wanted to take it because you were on the chairman's board or the chairman's presentation last year. So yeah, first has made a lot of changes to the chairman's prompts. I don't actually know what they were last year, but this year they are guided more towards the mission of first.
Yeah.
Instead of just STEM related.
So
activities.
last year there was a lot of focus on STEM in the community rather than specifically first things. Yeah. That's basically.
So yeah, I've got the this year's chairman's prompts up, and I see a lot of first.
The word first
comes first. First is first. So you got to talk about like I'm just gonna kind of scatter through it all. Talk about like how you have impacted the first program through your team, sponsorships, your partners, different team stuff throughout the different years, different levels, a lot of different stuff, which is going to be interesting for teams that do outreach that isn't mainly guided to first. Obviously, all types of outreach is good, but there are definitely changes being made.
I'm thinking
Essentially, a huge focus on first as a corporation itself, rather than the subtler individual things that most teams do. So
I'm not personally the biggest fan of this change. I think it was better before because it gave a lot more opportunities to different types of outreach. And now
It's all concentrated.
Now these changes, it's more concentrated on first, which I personally think isn't as beneficial personally.
frankly, it kind of restricts the creativity that some of these outreaches can achieve, and can make it hard for teams to actually participate in this sort of thing, as they may not have the right credentials to or knowledge to work with first in this aspect.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, just STEM-related activities teams do. We have a few that we are trying to tweak, modify towards the model of first. So obviously, I feel like a lot of teams are going to have this issue that are going for the Chairman's Award, going for EI, any type of outreach award. They're going to face this problem like, okay, how can we take the great stuff we're doing in our community and incorporate first, or even more, even if it is through first, how can we do more first? If that makes sense.
On the other hand, though, this might also help some teams whose outreach is more focused on first. So starting FLL teams, mentoring FTC, mentoring other FRC teams, helping rookies, stuff like that.
That's huge.
So a lot of teams will benefit from this, and a lot of teams will not. So it's just going to be a change, and some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it.
One good thing that First has done through this is that they have been able to put more exact credentials, on a rubric for teams. So this is the stuff you have to meet in order to say you started an FLL team or help mentor an FTC team, stuff like that. So you can't just say, oh look, we created this team, and this one in Portugal. You got to have stuff behind that to prove that you've actually made an impact, which I think is a really good move.
Yeah.
So it's not just numbers. You can't just give numbers. You actually have to have something supporting all that.
It quantifies outreach, I guess, which is good.
Yeah, so it's all very, very good. That's some good stuff from First.
Though at the same time, I feel like with this new focus on FTC, with mentoring these different FTC, LL, and FRC teams, it really puts a de-emphasis on working through your STEM, working to integrate STEM into your community, and this feels like less of that and more of just more of spreading first only, rather than STEM as a whole.
Yeah, that's my fear, is that it's going to be taken as you can only do stuff through first, and I'm not quite, like, I'm still, like, a little confused on all of this, like the changes, what first is wanting from teams that are going for this award. So hopefully it's not all just, like, it's all first. We're not, like, it all has to be through first. Nothing else is allowed. But also, like, having, if it has, like, an emphasis on first, but also other stuff to help increase the get involved in the community, that's all good stuff.
Yep, I agree. Thank you, Thomas. Very cool.
Nothing.
Very cool.
So yeah, next I think we're gonna transition into the 2020 stuff. If we have nothing else to talk about, chairman's prompts, outreach ideas. If we don't got any of that, 2020 stuff is some big news. Obviously, it'll be our senior year. So we have one more year with the current bag day rules, which is a 6-week build season. So let's just start off with the reason first did this. I had notes on my phone, but I don't have my phone on me. The reason they did this was because, obviously, in the past, teams that have very good funding, very good resources, have been able to make 2 robots. We tried this past year. Didn't quite work out.
No, it failed.
We'll,
Quite spectacular.
We'll talk about that later on, the reasons behind that, but
Okay.
it didn't work out.
This is epic.
So the way first is going with this is, if we don't have the 6-week time frame, teams won't have to build 2 robots, and the cost of all of robotics will go down, which is great because pulling $20,000.
Andy Mark's not happy about that one.
They're not.
No, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Actually, yeah, think about it. They're like, yeah, we're going to be losing half of our revenue. So, yeah, Andy Mark probably not happy. But a lot of people in the first community are happy because that takes away the stress, takes away the crunch time, helps with funding, because spending, like I was saying, or trying to say, $20,000 plus a year to compete, to travel, to build robots, to test, it's crazy. Teams are doing all nights. But a lot of people are happy with this, but I'm not.
I'm not either. I'm not a fan of
Matt,
this.
how you feeling on
I'm
this?
pretty neutral on it. I actually feel like there's a lot of pros and cons. For example, in the pros section, this certainly allows less, what's the word?
Stress.
No. Less well-off teams can actually have the opportunity to get. I know a big problem of these less organized teams and less well-funded is that getting their parts in can take a very long amount of time since they're very disorganized.
That's what hurt us this past year. It took 5 weeks for all of our stuff to come in. That did not help.
And really that left us with no time to test or even to come up with any other ideas. We're just kind of stuck here. And I feel like not only will that help with the getting the parts in, I feel like that'll also allow the building side of things for more creativity in design and more adaptive testing to go on throughout. So when this extended time comes in, you have more time to test and see like what other people are doing, how can you react to that, and how can you improve to be the best at this game you can possibly be, rather than rushing at the last minute and trying to get robots in the bag.
Throw some metal on, hope it works.
Yeah, and I also feel like this actually puts a positive spin on some weaker teams, since we already know that many well-off teams had 2 robots. So they basically had the pros I just mentioned of having more time to be more creative and more adaptive, to do more adaptive training, while yet somehow cheating the system while having a robot bagged and ready to go, while other teams don't have that opportunity.
So I agree with all those pros. I think there are some benefits that can come from this.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's definitely a lot of cons as well. One of them being a lot of the impressiveness, I guess, when you talk to people about FRC, you say, "Hi, this is our team. We built this robot in 6 weeks," and that's going to be taken away. I don't know if that's necessarily like that big of a deal, but the first thing I thought of was, man, I guess it's less impressive now, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it's kind of a big deal to me because
Yeah.
obviously just from this past build season, the last week, I remember the entire last week, like detail after detail. Thursday night, we were like, okay, our current design's not going to work. We need to like come up with something new. I'm like,
Yep.
we bag days Tuesday, like, what are we going to do? Friday, we try a whole new design, and that fails just as miserably.
Fails.
So we're like, okay, Saturday, we need to like figure something out and like come together and just restart.
Yep.
And we did. And just worked all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And then Monday, we go to test down at NREC, thanks to Girls of Steel. Completely trash our robot.
Yep.
It was just in shambles.
Our driver sucked.
We trashed
It was my first time out.
Oh,
and
man.
Luke came back from vacation and was like, oh my gosh, the robot looks so different.
So I come back. I have Skyped in probably 3 times.
and you're our only programmer.
3 times at this point. At this point, I'm also the only person who knows anything about the code. So I'm here away. They're trying to get the code to work. They're saying, hey, you know how you're going to get back on Monday? Yeah, you're going to have to rewrite all the robot code. So I'm
It's completely
so-
different now.
So I'm like, oh, great. That'll be fun. So I come back. I get the code.
You joined us at NREC.
I was at NREC, and we go there. I got most of the code working. It was pretty. I mean, it was just running some motor stuff like that, limit switches. So it wasn't all that bad. We come up, trash it, just
Have to
totally,
drive home.
totally trash it. The drive of shame home was just horrifying.
Yeah.
I walk in the next day.
Everyone's on the verge of tears.
The claw is literally off. I mean,
I wish we had pictures. I wish we had
We should have
pictures.
taken.
it was in half. I
It was so bad.
This
So-
thing was in half.
So Tuesday, we all came together
Tuesday's
to
bag day.
rebuild the robot. I took the mangled claw off at 3 o'clock, worked
p.m.
for 8 hours to put it back on. Right as it was ready to assemble, I slept in the music room.
Yep.
I was out. I was not having it. It was just so draining, but that's the joy of first.
And then 11.
The
and then
blood, the sweat, the tears. I've
continuing on.
actually bled.
Continuing on here,
I'm gonna miss
11
that.
to 11 to 11:40. They're putting the finishing touches. They're like, all right, Luke, we got 20 minutes auto time.
Go
So I'm
ahead.
out in the hallway running autos at 11:58. They're getting the bag ready. I take the battery out.
I'm pretty sure our picture has you holding the computer
Yeah.
with the wire still
Yep,
attached.
And we're shoving the robot in the bag. The wheels are turning. It's cutting up the bag. You know, all this stuff.
But that's
We
the
don't
fun.
we don't eventually get it running, but we eventually
was
after
epic.
it was okay. This is epic. Anyways, we got it running not at regionals, at the World Championship.
It was
We did get it to work.
I'm just-
so that was pretty.
that
epic.
whole aspect is gonna be lost, and it makes me really sad. But it's also like the changes that are coming are good. So I wish there was a way to like kind of like get in the middle
Yeah.
of it all. Because another negative from this is that say teams are just competing in 1 week, like the week 6,
Yeah.
they're gonna be able to copy all the good designs.
That's factual.
So that's
That's good.
kind of like a fear,
I mean, we
especially
could always build a second robot, a better one, once we learn what 254 is doing. You know.
That's my fear though, is that everyone's gonna have the exact same robot.
I mean, that's not okay.
I
mean, it depends because obviously driver skill and how you
Yeah.
how you piece everything together. But still, it's kind of taking away that creativity while also giving it back. It's just changing it.
And I
Though
think
I'd like to counter that point with having competitions and having experience. With these teams that are like haven't had a competition yet, sometimes they'll come up with something entirely new based on other robots. Like what we did was, well, I mean that was out of necessity. But what we did something entirely new based on the thought of, okay, everybody's doing an elevator design. Everybody's gonna go for the scale.
so. Let's copy
And
someone's design that's not an elevator.
Let's copy in every butt.
And then we took that and we're like, no, wait a minute, we can make this better. What if we focused our strategy on something that nobody has done yet?
Poster board.
No. The opponent switch, and that's how we got so far. I mean,
That's why a lot of teams liked us.
Yeah, that's why
They loved us.
we became like our own sort of thing. A couple other teams actually took up our strategy.
Didn't say it.
And nobody could replicate it as well as us. Now, we didn't stick to that strategy for reasons unknown, but I feel like that sort of creativity and spontaneous design can come from this new extended period where we can see what
That's
this
the
meta
good
develops.
that's the good creativity
Yep.
aspect I was talking about. Like, you can have a design that's like, oh, we can make these tweaks and it'll be more efficient. You know, like that. You have that in the real world, which I really like because I was never a fan of. You can only work on 30 pounds outside of the bag. But also like it's great if you take that away and teams will just like it's near impossible to get an exact perfect system for all of this because like they're taking away the deadline, which is like that's something that really upsets me as well. Is that like in the real world you hit deadlines, you know,
Yeah.
you can't be like push it back till
And I
Friday,
think-
Thursday,
I think
you
I
know.
believe-
There still is a deadline, just
Yeah, this is
Whenever
gonna-
your competition
I think
is, it's
it'll also
more
lead
soft due. It's
to
a soft due date.
a lot of procrastination in teams. Like, I don't think it's going to be the same. Okay, build season time. All right, let's get it. Let's build this robot. We have 6 weeks. It's going to be more like, oh yeah, we can start next week. And
we've
then,
got 6 weeks.
yeah, we have 10
Teams
weeks.
that are
We have 10
unorganized
weeks.
are going to falter.
Yeah.
They are going to
They're
struggle.
going to overestimate the amount of time they have because even 10 weeks is not that long.
No.
Depending, I mean, if you have week 1 competition, it's what, 9, 10? 8, 9,
Week
10?
one is, I
The-
think,
right after. So it's like
like seven.
7.
That's
So it's
I
like
think
7 or
that's
8.
7
And
weeks,
then
yeah.
if you go week 6, that's like 12 or 13. I don't know the numbers.
If you do
but
one competition, and
regardless,
in your week
it's-
6, you could not have started when comp season starts, and you could have.
it'd
a
be
viable
very
robot.
tough. Again, you'd have the
Yeah.
time strap
Yeah.
of getting your competition. So I guess the due date of all this like fluctuates on what the team's goals are, like going to competitions. But still, I like to have like the Tuesday, the third Tuesday in February, or whatever it is. That's bag day.
Yeah.
Obviously, like third con, like Matt was saying, cons in that and cons in this and pros in this new system and pros in the old system. That I was trying to say, if like we could find like a middle ground on all of this, that would be very good. But obviously, first is making good strides here in the 2020 plans.
Yep.
So hopefully, this will be a new light
Uh-huh.
in the first.
Overall, I think
It's different.
it's going to be a change, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like changes like this really keep the keep the program fresh and never really makes it stale. It keeps everything in rotation and never lets us get a solid footing.
So everyone, that's been the conclusion of our third episode of Inside First. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. Make sure to follow the Discord, get involved in the Twitter, all that good stuff. You know, we want to hear from you guys because obviously growing the first community is what we're trying to do here. So I've been Thomas,
I've been Luke.
And I've been Matt.
and we'll see you in episode 4.